Hello, you awesome friends. This is your pal, Edwards here speaking. I want to say thank you for all your love. An interview with Edward has taken off globally, and our show is just powerful. And you know what? It's taken off globally because you getting involved, watching it. And today I've got one of my wonderful friends who is a very inspirational speaker and powerful person. He's a business coach who helps entrepreneurs grow themselves and their businesses. And just before the interview, I was asking this great guy, what's something unique and personal about you that people may not know? And he said, well, in 2017, I was meditating and then I had an epiphany. I thought, wow, this is going to be interesting. Friends, welcome Joe Bellissimo to our show. How are you today, Joe?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me. And in the spirit of you, Ed, thank you all good-looking people watching that right now, which is literally the entire audience. So thank you for tuning in.
Exactly. You make a great observation, Joe. All our viewers are very handsome, beautiful, and sexy people. And that's just a scientific fact. And Joe, I got to say, it's great having you with us. You are a powerful dynamo of energy. Joe, can you tell us, what do you do and how do you awesomely add value to people's lives?
Oh, thanks for having me. And basically, where I focus my energy is I look at the personal aspects of business, right? So what I've realized is that a lot of business owners, and myself included, because I build stuff for me, right? I first test things out on myself and say, what would I appreciate as a business owner before I bring it out to other people? And some of the things that I was experiencing was I was never quite satisfied with the level of productivity that I had. And I was never quite satisfied with the kind of tribe or the kind of group of people that I was hanging out with. And what I realized was, and this was after reading, do you remember what's it called? By Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow
Oh,
Rich?
Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
classic, an old-time classic, Joe.
It is. Do you remember the part in there that says the way forward to be more successful in business and in your personal life is to be part of a mastermind? There's a whole
Yes.
chapter on it.
Yes, I'm all for that. You're definitely preaching to the choir on that one, Joe. And for the sake of the audience, actually, what is a mastermind, Joe?
Oh, well, I think there's lots of definitions to a mastermind as to how you put one together. Because in my world, a mastermind simply means putting people in a room with a common agenda, right? So in my world, in my business, I would have a mastermind for personal development, right? So I'd have a bunch of people who are interested in developing themselves personally, who can then participate and cross contribute, where it's not just the speaker or facilitator who is giving all the value, but anyone in the room who has a unique experience is able to actually interject and add value to that person, right? Or in some of my other groups, I've got a business mastermind focused on how to grow your business and keep you productive in there. Now, that's one way to have a mastermind. A mastermind could literally be an event where someone's sharing information. So there's a couple of different definitions that go in there, but the one I really like is I like the whole collaborative idea, where you're in a mastermind. The idea is that you've got, yes, a facilitator or someone who leads the show, but at the same time, everybody has some unique gift that they can share inside of that room. And that's in a mastermind in my definition.
Oh, I think that's a perfectly flawless definition. And I was going to ask you actually, because I know you're right into this. I think masterminds are incredible, becoming a part of a mastermind group and community. When you run a mastermind, and again, I'm asking this for the sake of our beautiful viewers, you've done an amazing job of running masterminds. How do you personally run a mastermind that gives everyone maximum value?
Okay, I can share that. Basically, I like to set up a very nice structure, right? It's a structure that can be used pretty much in any mastermind I run in any sort of industry or any sort of topic, right? Where the basis of it is the one important thing. And the idea of the one important thing is if you were to focus just on one thing in a time frame, let's say one thing for a year or one thing for a week or one thing for a month. When you do that, they've shown in studies that you're statistically more likely to get it done. And it's my belief system that if you want to be more productive, you simply need to make consistent steps. It's about the consistency, not about like going all out for a day, getting lots of work done and burning out for the week, right? That doesn't make sense to me. I've done it before in the past. It's bad. I know you guys in the audience, You've done it before. You know what I'm talking about.
And just on that, Joe, I
Sure.
couldn't agree with you more because, again, the whole sort of 90s, early 2000s logic of you got to go hard, you got to do this, you got to do that. But they never ever talk about what happens when you're sick 3 months later and you've burnt out and you can't work anymore. No one ever talks about that. You will and I will, but no one else ever talks about that.
No, the hustle is one part of it, right? Yes, it's important to work hard, but hard work is only one component of it. It's the consistency. It's the being able to track it, right? So if I'm understanding that someone's going to get more work done if they're consistent, well, then I set a time zone in place. I go, okay, let's encapsulate 1 week. And let's say, what is the one important thing in that week whereby everything becomes easier or unnecessary? And a quick example of something like that is like whenever I'm dealing with a business owner who's turning around to me and saying, hey, look, I'm struggling in my business. And the thing that I'm thinking about right now is I'm going to go look for employment so that I can add revenue in. I can have some money in to calm the ship, right? To steady the ship. Then I say, okay, well, let's step back for a minute. So you want to go on and apply for work, find a job, get trained in that job, work for that job for way less money than what you're really worth so that you can have, I don't know, $5,000 a month worth of additional money just sitting there clean that you don't have to think about. Well, then I asked the question, well, if you're in your business, what would you need to do in order to generate $5,000 in revenue, right? To generate that money. And typically it's not that much work. And in fact, it's easier to generate the money within the business than it would be to go out and find work. So I would say that the next steps would be like, what if I was to find $5,000 worth of business right now, how might I do it? And then you would work out what's the one thing you can do in that week to bring you in that direction. And that works out to be the one thing whereby everything else becomes easier or unnecessary, because it's unnecessary to find work if you're making money in your business. Right. And then it becomes easier because finding a client is easier than finding a job, getting trained and working in that job. That's a series of magnitudes more difficult than actually finding a client. Right.
And on that note, I couldn't agree with you more because whenever people say, now again, there are times where getting a part-time job or something can be very useful. I have a very successful client that Ubered for 2 years to get his business off the ground. Now the guy's worth megabucks. However, I agree with you. A lot of people think getting a job is just like walking down the street. It's usually 3 to 6 months of hard work. And you're right, if they just put that work into their business, they probably end up with more money.
Yeah. It usually just is delaying the inevitable fact. Like if you're good at what you do, people want to give you money to do it, right? And so the longer that you hold on or you hold out from leaning into it, you're just really doing a disservice to you and your potential clients. So I would say at the end of the day that the core of this is to focus on the one important thing, and to step into that further, you've got to track it. If you're not tracking what your one important thing is on a weekly basis, you lose out on a couple of things. Number one, if you work out you're going to do something on a Monday and then you forget by Friday, then what was the point, right? You might as well not even try, right? The other thing is that you want to create the habit of winning. Right. So if you're doing one important thing every single week, well, after 52 weeks, you got 52 chunks of completed work. Now that ingrains the habit of success, where you know that, okay, when I set my mind to something and I start it, it gets completed. And then every time I complete it, I get one step closer to my vision. And if I continue to work like that, I'm going to start having more certainty and more faith in myself. And when that happens, I'm going to really lean into things. And then I'm not going to be taken over by fear, which is going to say, okay, well, I've got to go find a job to go make some money because I didn't get a client this month. Well, that's not going to happen if you know with certainty that you can go, okay, great. What's my one thing for this week? This. Am I going to get it done? Yes. Is it going to make a difference in my business? Yes. Do I have a tribe of people around me that are going to keep me accountable in doing that? Yes. Okay, so what am I scared of?
Oh, that's beautiful. And Joe, you bring me into the next question I want to ask you. And you're already going there, and I want you to double down on this one.
Sure.
What is your advice to everyone who's beautiful and handsome, who's watching right now? What's your top 3 tips to them to win in the post-corona world?
Okay, if you want to win in the post-corona world, the first place that I would look is having certainty around your vision, right? In a time of uncertainty, people are going to gravitate towards people that have certainty, right? If you're dealing with someone who's like, oh, I'm going to find you clients for your business, and then you say, well, how might you do that? And oh, well, maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do that. Well, if you turn around and let's say your job as a business owner is to find business for other clients, and you have, okay, this is why I'm around. This is the journey that I've been on in order to get here. These are the fundamental tools that I'm using in order to create my vision to have this business that does this, this, and this. And this is how I'm going to help you. And I have absolute certainty because this is what I do, right? Like when someone can detect that you are absolutely certain, right? And it always stems from understanding what your vision is. Because if you don't really know why you're doing something, well, nobody else is going to believe why you're doing it, right? If you don't believe it, they won't.
Yeah,
Right?
you're not going to be very persuasive.
No.
Uncertainty will not make you a master persuader and influencer.
No, absolutely not, right? Having certainty in yourself, and that definitely starts from having a clear vision, understanding why it is that you do what you do. That's a Simon Sinek thing, getting to my why and things like that. He's got a couple of books about that. And I'm very big on reading his works. So I like to put out there, hey, why do I do what I do? And then it always goes back to my story and when I pivoted in 2017 and the things that changed in my life and how I value freedom and creativity and I value connection between people. And then you see in my businesses that if I run masterminds and you know that my core values are contribution, my core values are creativity, my core values are freedom. And then you look at the things that I'm doing in my meetings is helping people become more creative, finding pathways for them to have more freedom and contributing to them on a weekly basis. Well, then you know that my business matches my vision and it matches my values. Well, then people can very easily connect with me once they get to know me and they're in my masterminds. So it's that certainty which stems from me understanding why it is I do what I do and what my personal values are that makes me more attractive to my prospective client, right? So I would say that that's step one. Having some clarity and some certainty and projecting that is super important to have someone wanting to do business with you.
And step two, what would you say is point two?
So step two, I would say, would be to get comfortable with discomfort. Right. The fact of the matter is that yes, you can project certainty, right? But at the same time, you're dealing in uncertain terms. We don't really know what's about to happen. We don't really know what's around the corner. We don't know how the recovery is going to look. We don't know how the economy is going to operate, right? But what we do know is that if we're certain, people want to deal with us. So we can make peace with the fact that the world is uncertain, but we're certain about it being uncertain, right? It's a reframe technique. I know that there's going to be a messy environment out there, but I also know that I have trust in myself. And if I continue to do the right things and I don't withdraw, right? Because it's all about consistency. Being consistent and making sure that I'm comfortable with the uncertainty that I'm experiencing means that people are going to be more certain and confident with me. Means that it's like, well, there is no uncertainty when you just decide, yep, cool, I'm good, right? I know this is the world. Let's just get on with business.
Oh, brilliant. And Joe, what is point three?
Oh, it's right. Now you've got me. Now you've got me. What would I possibly say? Oh, no, that's an easy one. Find a mastermind. It's that easy.
Especially one run by a handsome Italian guy, right?
100%. Yes. Right. The thing here is that whenever you want to create certainty in things, whenever you want to stay on track, be more accountable, whenever you want to know that, okay, when things are a bit down or I'm feeling a bit down, that I can elevate myself up, it's the tribe, right? Having a good quality set of people around you is going to be fundamental for you being able to grow in any sort of environment. I mean, like Ed, your networking meetings that you run all the time and the webinars that you run, the people that are in those rooms, right? Not only do they get the value of in that room, but let's be really, really straight up here. It's not about what you do in rooms. It's about what you do outside of them and how you handle the people in that network. Right. And so if you've got a quality mastermind of people that are growing, that are focused on the same sorts of things that you're focused on, that have a positive mindset about things, that's going to rub off on you. I mean, this is fundamental to so many things in the animal kingdom, right? I mean, like we're herd creatures, we're mammals, right? We fundamentally want to be with groups. The only thing is today you get to choose your group, you get to choose your tribe, you get to choose your herd. You never got a chance to do that 200,000 years ago. You were born in a tribe, you live in a tribe. what, like 1,000 years ago, there was no mobility. 100 years ago, there was no mobility. Now you can literally have a peer group that exists across the world who is doing some particular thing that you might be doing in your business, and you get to choose to hang out with people that are going to be supportive of you, not people that are going to turn around and say, oh, well, look, I don't know about that idea. You probably shouldn't be doing that in your business, or really being Debbie Downers on everything that you're doing, right? You don't have to put up with that anymore.
Oh, Joe, beautifully well said. I'm going to say, I love where you're going. And Joe, as we bring the stellar interview to its epic conclusion, what is your one key closing thought you have for our wonderful audience out there?
The one key closing thought I have for everyone, right, is at the end of the day, right, there are a lot of things that are come out in the current environment and the things that are happening in your world right now that are going to conjure up feelings of self-doubt, right? And I just want to clear up for you that you're good enough as you are. You have all of the knowledge that is required to do what you're doing right now, right? Have faith in yourself. Have confidence. Back yourself, because you know exactly what you're doing, right? I know so many people right now that I talk to that have written books, that have helped thousands of people, right? But have not had the courage to step into their certainty and to help people or to give their gifts to the world, right? All because of a fundamental self-doubt. Now, I want to be clear with you. You are valuable, you are knowledgeable, and if you put your mind to it and you put yourself in the right kinds of environments, you can achieve literally anything.
Joe, that's a brilliant thought and well said. I think this is absolutely incredible. And Joe, how can our very sexy viewers find you? How can they track you down if they want to get into contact?
If they want to track me down, I'm very available on Facebook and LinkedIn, or you can also pass on my website link, eliteresources.group. All right, so we'll put a couple of those in the comments where you're sharing this, and I'll make sure I comment as well, because one of the things that I've realized in my business is, if you want to deal with me, I'm going to make it easy for you to deal with me. You want to send me a message on LinkedIn, a message on Facebook, you'll get me, right? I do want to connect with you. So I'm going to make myself accessible. And in honor of this, Ed, because you're doing a fantastic job of showcasing individuals and putting them out there and allowing us to share our gifts. Well, it only makes sense that I make myself as accessible to anyone out there who has resonated with what I've said and does want to step up and does want to connect with me. I want to hear from you.
Joe, that is noble and admirable. And friends, I got to say, Joe is one amazing guy. And before you go, Joe, I just want to ask you a few secrets. What secret stuff have you got cooking, and what have you got planned for the future, my friend?
Secret stuff that I'm cooking? Look, some of the stuff that I'm leaning into right now is I'm looking to upgrade a lot of the infrastructure in my group. So what I've recently done is I've got an added productivity system I built in. So I was looking at this literally last night with my one of my business partners, and we were saying, okay, what is it that people really want, like deep down? What does everybody really want? And we made the correlation that yes, there's money, yes, there's things, yes, there's all these other sorts of achievements and whatnot, but connection was at the root of it. And I basically said, hey, you know what? We do offer connection on a weekly basis, right? But that also means that there's a whole week between communication, right? So we're just like, okay, we've got WhatsApp groups, we've got connections. That's pretty fun. But what could we do? And I said, who can I look at who's doing a fantastic job in this space? Who creates genuine connection all the time? And I thought, well, you, Ed. I was literally talking about you last night. And I said, I'm going to trial a sort of networking social thing on a Friday night or something like that, where I'm going to be like, great, let's just open up a networking meeting that people can join in and can also be social about it. Like, have a glass of wine, have a beer. For those of you who, let's say, could go out on a Friday night and go to the pub or go do something else, but say, you know what, I really want to keep my vibe going. I want to be talking to business owners. I want to keep my energy up, and I want to be hanging out with people that have hustled the whole week, right? They've been hustling, and they want to chill out with a glass of wine and talk a little bit about, hey, guess what I just achieved this week? Or, hey, is anybody out there want to do some work over the weekend, or maybe meet up or have a bit of a mastermind together? Like I want more of that, because that connection, I feel is the fundamental root of all of this. Like, we don't get into business because we don't want to connect with people, right? We want to connect and add value.
Oh, that's a great idea. I reckon you should start. It should be drinks at Joe's on Friday night. It's got a picture of Joe with his arms folded.
All right, I'll put something together. I'll launch
And
that.
make it look like an Italian pizzeria. You know what I mean? Go to the Italian pizzeria, an evening at Joe's.
You're pushing it now. You're going outside of my zone of genius. I can hire someone to figure that out. Hey, anyone listening who wants to create that image for me and create it in Photoshop, send me a message. I'm in.
Just on a side note, I'm a huge fan of Italian mob films. So I'm a huge fan of Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. So that's my friend Carlo Guzzi, our friend, Italian friend. Anyway, I was, ironically, before this, I was actually watching the history of Casino. You know, the film with Joe Pesci and all that, right? Casino in the 90s.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just had that image of Friday at Joe's, a picture of you, arms folded, Italian mobster outfit, and the big neons behind you. You got to do that, Joe.
Mate, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there. We'll figure out how to make the banner. I'm gonna add it to Meetup. All right.
Yep. Meetup's good. And on
your
a side
favorite platform.
note, I'm actually interviewing the CEO of Meetup next week, but stay tuned for that one.
No way.
Yeah, David Siegel, great guy. Shout out to David, so stay tuned for that one.
You're a machine, mate.
Well, thank you. But I got to say, I love your Friday night meetup idea. Do it, man, is all I can say. Because again, as you know, Joe, and I want to say this to our audience, we're all about bringing people together. And as you said at the start so well, Joe, we're mammals. We're genetically herd-like creatures. We're not timber wolves. We don't do our own thing. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Why fight your biology, right? Let's work with it.
It doesn't work. You've seen a lot of, again, I don't want to talk politics here, but you've seen a lot of people in politics fight biology, but it's a bit like aliens. The evolution wins in the end. You might take out a few aliens, but the aliens will get you in the end. You cannot fight evolution.
Yeah, we're human beings. We have a need for connection.
Yep.
We want to meet that in today's society where we're connected in so many different ways that aren't very genuine. The big thing that I've just noticed is find ways to create genuine connection, like masterminds. We get to meet people on a regular basis, not like once every couple of months or something like that. Like, make it tight, right? Yeah. Don't expect to be connected to 1 billion people. Yes, you can have extended connections, but have a tribe, an internal tribe of people that you really connect with, and it feels so much better. It really does. Oh, hello.
Well, it looks like we have a little girl here who's crashing the end of our interview. This is our little piggy. So I was just going to say, as we wrap up, because she won't let me go now, Joe, thank you. Last word to you, Joe. I just want to say big thank you. Joe, last word to you. We appreciate you before little piggy destroys our interview. Go for it, Joe. Or enhances it.
My last word is, you are enough as you are. Go for it.
All right, Joe. Love your work. Bye, everyone.
Good night or good morning, or whenever you're listening to this or watching this, have a great day or night.